What makes an inspired woman? Inspired women stand their ground and speak their minds. We are the kind of women that bring about change and transformation in a massive way. Inspired women seek out ways to shine the light on others in our quest to serve and to lead. Inspired women are bold, courageous, joyful, and brilliant leaders in our families, our businesses, and in our communities. That's why we, as inspired women, can stand up and say, we live amazing lives and we love it. And we are so ready to pass that inspiration on to you so that you too can become an inspired woman leading an amazing life. Welcome to Inspired Woman Amazing Lives podcast. Welcome to Inspired Women Amazing Lives podcast, where we hope to inspire women to live their best lives by watching other women who are doing it too. And I have an amazing woman today who's very, very inspiring. Ms. Gabe Cox is with us. Welcome, Gabe.
Hi, thanks for having me here, Kimberly.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And Gabe is the owner of, not only that, she's an author, speaker, coach, and the founder of Red Hot Mindset. I love that title, Red Hot Mindset. That just spurs me up. She's also an RRCA certified running coach. Nice. And is passionate about pushing others toward their goals and inspiring them to huge dreams. Ooh. She uses success principles outlined in her book, Mind Over Marathon, to achieve a bid to the 2016 and 2020 Boston Marathons. That's a huge accomplishment. She continues to use these principles as she strives towards new goals in business, raising a family, and mentoring others. Wow. I can't wait to hear this story. So, Gabe, take it away. Share your story with us. This is an amazing story.
Yeah, there's so much I could tell, but what I want to share is that the reason that I have formed Red Hot Mindset or gotten on the journey that I'm on now is because of a huge personal growth journey I went on right after college. I actually, so take it all back to college, I found myself spiraling down into a very deep depression, and I didn't really know how to get out of it. And honestly, if you saw me at that point, you would have no idea. I was very outgoing, always active, at the gym all the time or playing sports or with my friends. So people would not have seen the inside of me and what I was struggling with because I didn't let others in. And when I left college, got married right out of graduation, I still had that baggage with me. But I did know that I needed to do something to figure out a way to get out of it and to be able to find the success I was looking for, or just the joy, joy in life and all that. And so I actually went on a personal growth journey with a leadership team and even with my husband, because he's been on a personal growth journey for a long time too. So this is about 14 years ago, and I haven't stopped growing since, because I don't feel like we ever stop growing. And when we do, we kind of essentially die. So
yes.
It's either we're growing or we're dying, and I chose to grow, and we never arrive. There's always something new to do or a new level to go. And so honestly, starting that growth journey, I didn't really know what that meant or how to do it. But as I kept plugging away, all these layers kept falling off, and I started to gain more confidence and to get to a point where I could even get off the medications I was on and really find joy and understand and change my mindset. And that's why I'm super passionate about mindset and why I have what's called now Red Hot Mindset, because I want others to experience that freedom that I found through personal development.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Um, what what amazes me so much about that story, Gabe, is that you knew you were in a depression, because
Yep.
a lot of times when people are in a depression, they don't even know it. But
Yeah.
you knew you were in a depression, and you knew you had to do something to pull yourself out.
Yeah, I got myself to a pretty deep, dark hole. And it was kind of interesting because I actually called, it was right before Christmas break, my junior year of college. And I ended up reaching out to the mental health services on campus. And what they did, they said, we don't take new people before Christmas
Oh,
and I just burst into tears because I'm like, I'm reaching out for help and I'm just sobbing. And they go, you need to come in immediately. And my journey started there, but yeah, so I mean,
wow.
I knew I needed something. I didn't know what it was, but that was one thing that was key for me, is I was willing to reach out for help. And it took me a long time. It took me years to do that.
That's good, because, like I said, most people won't reach out for help, and they don't know they're there.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good friend recently tell me, she says, I feel like I have no energy. All I want to do is sleep. And I told her, I said, and I knew she had a lot going on. And I told her, I said, my dear, you may be getting a little depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So we may want to figure out what we need to do to get you in seeing someone.
Right.
And she immediately denied. She said, oh no, depression. Because there are still a lot of people who do not believe that depression is a real thing. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I think we can help. I mean, there's a lot of skills and tools we can do to get ourselves out of it and to really work our way to understanding how to cope with it. But it is a real thing. And it's also just, from a spiritual level, for a while there, I was a little bit ashamed of it because I thought I shouldn't have to deal with this. This isn't something that if I have faith, I should be okay.
Right.
And I had to realize that I still needed the help.
Right. And it's funny that you mentioned the spiritual portion of it, Gabe, because I would say at least 10 years ago, I thought the same thing. That was my thought. I was like, depression, if you have faith in God, you don't get depressed. That's not a thing. I really didn't think it was a thing. I'm just being honest here. And because I thought if you have faith in God, it wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in my studies of the Bible, when I see that even Paul experienced, and Paul was such a great teacher and leader in the Bible, he experienced some bouts of depression, and he talked about it in his journeys. And and then I began to look back over my life and thought about the times when I felt I was in such despair. And I said, you know what? I was probably in a period of depression and just didn't know it, and somehow got myself out of it and moved forward. But there have been times in my life I'd experienced that. So
Right.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, audience, sorry. Our show is kind of organic, so it just kind of goes where it goes. And I'm sure this conversation is going to help someone.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. So now, Gabe, tell us more about your Boston Marathon. That was a huge accomplishment. Was that originally on your goals list, or is it something that it just kind of happened?
It wasn't something that I've dreamed of my whole life. It wasn't originally on my goals list. When I wanted to run a marathon. And part of it was just a bucket list thing. I'm going to be one and done, run a marathon to say I've run it and get the kudos for it. But when I finished, all of a sudden I felt like I wanted a little bit more. And it's the runner adrenaline, just the endorphins going, right? And you feel miserable. I always equate it to having a baby. Like you feel the labor, you don't remember the labor. If you did, you'd never have another kid, right? But it's the same thing with a marathon. You just forget the pain that you just had for 26 miles. And you think about what's next. And honestly, it was after that first marathon that all of a sudden I had this brilliant idea that I wanted to qualify for the Boston Marathon, because I figured that was what was next on my list. Wow. So it wasn't a dream I've always had, but it was a dream that developed over time after that first marathon.
That is really, really nice. And audience, if you know, I'm sure Gabe can attest to this. If you've never run a marathon before, there is a lot of training and preparation that goes into that. Oh,
Oh
just for me trying to get to a 10K, Gabe.
yeah.
And you know, I put that on my list several times and taking it off and put it on, taking it off. But I think that in 2020, I'm really going to leave that on my list because it's on there now. Running that 10K even is
Woohoo!
on my list. I know, and I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to do it this year. But I've got a ways to go to a marathon. That is quite an accomplishment, and you've qualified for it again this year.
Yep. I actually qualified in 2018 to run it this year. So
Wow. And that's now just a little bit about that. There's a physical component, but there's a mental component, isn't it?
absolutely. I would say probably 80% of it is mental, kind of like life or success. It's the same thing. It's 20% is the work, but 80% is the mentality behind it and actually training our mental or emotional side just as much as our physical.
Wow. Awesome. Ooh, yes. Wow.
Yeah. And I would say that's where I learned most of the mental training that I now teach. I learned
Okay.
it through my experience of trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon. I was on that personal growth journey. So I used a lot of the success principles I had learned, just life principles, and put it into my running because I wanted to see if they actually worked.
Nice.
And kind of one of the ways I found out they do when we actually put our mind to it.
And so is that how you work with your coaching clients?
Yeah, I have a couple ways I work with them. We'll talk a little bit about the program I do later, but I do group coaching where I kind of help them develop their dream because I think a lot of us, especially probably the 30 to 45 year olds, we kind
Mhm.
of lose our dream as we've gotten into the grind of adulthood and adulting and whatever all that means. And we forget to dream and we forget that we can, or if we have kids. So I have 3 boys. So
Mhm.
you just put their life in front of yours and you just forget that you had your own desires and goals at one point and they kind of go on a shelf and are covered with dust over the years. So I kind of help develop those dreams again to help draw out my clients' potential and draw out their desires and just the longings that they have of their heart. And then I help them kind of create that game plan. How do we make this work? How can I go after this and still, do what I need to do at home or do work in my role that I'm in work or whatever it is. But how do I actually develop these dreams and go after them? And a lot of that. So, or if I'm working with a client based on running, we are going to attack the mental side and I'm going to teach them the mental training more than I'm not going to tell them you have to run 10 miles today. I'm the mental training coach. I'm going to teach you how to have a strong mentality so that when you get to mile 20, you don't quit on yourself.
Nice. Very
Mm-hmm.
nice. Now, are you doing I love that. You said so much there. Yeah. I get in my head, sorry. I'm one of those I like the process. Um you're so right. So I'm currently in my 50s, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that. I know that feeling that I got back in my 40s where I
Right.
felt like, all right, I got to get a handle of my dreams
Mm-hmm.
or I may not be able to do those. And I have a friend that's in his 50s. He's done his dreams since he was 20.
Cool.
Yeah, he did. But he has what is deadly about that is that um he has this mentality that if you didn't do it when you were in your 20s,
Mm.
there's no need to look at it when you're in your 40s and 50s because it ain't going to happen. And that's a lie. I tell him that all the time. I say, you need to stop saying that. Don't say that to your kids. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's not true. You're still alive. As long as you're alive, you have the ability to carry out your goals and dreams. So I'm glad that you're doing that. Um, because sometimes, like you said, when we get families and children, we think, oh, it's over. But it's
Right.
not. It's not.
Right. even when I was writing my book, I had these doubts going, well, I should have started sooner, or I should have this. And essentially our dreams can evolve and change, but it's never too late to go after them or to live them out. And I thought about it going, I'm only 36. If if I live to be 80 or 90, I'm not even halfway through my life. That's a long life to live if I don't have dreams and goals, or if it's too late for me.
Right. Now, and that's interesting that you say that, because I was just telling my daughter the other day, I said, I'm in my 50s, but I'm not done yet.
Right.
I expect to live to be 80 and beyond. That's what I'm hoping I am blessed with. And when I think about that, and I expect to be vibrant until the end. And I'm just not having that expectation, Gabe. I'm working on that. So I eat healthy, I exercise, I take care of this vessel so I can make sure into my 80s, my mind and my body is well equipped to handle that. And I was telling my daughter, that's a long time for me to not have something to do with my life.
Yes.
That's over 30 years. That's a long time for me to not have something to do with my life. So audience, I hope you're hearing this. It's not over by any means. We've still got plenty of time. So we got to get going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk some about the mental training and your success principles. What is your total message around that? How do they connect? How did you I know you said through this process, you discovered that they are very well connected. So tell us about that.
Yep. So much of it is in the power of our words. I believe that what we say is what we get, essentially. Now, there's the new age, modern, speak what you want and you'll get it. Well, that's not entirely true, because we have to work for what we get. There's other components that go with it, but we also have to believe in what we're doing. We have to believe that we can do it. And we also have to have this idea that if not me, then who? Things are made for somebody. Things are the things to do, write a book, be on TV, be in the somebody's going to do it. And if you have that desire in your heart, then why not you? And kind of developing that confidence and the belief in yourself. And so what we say matters for that reason. And that is probably the biggest success principle that I teach my clients and that I try and live out as well. It's one of the hardest things to do, because I almost think we naturally go negative. We naturally have a negative response to things. And it's really the only things that we really can control are our attitudes and our actions. And sometimes we let our emotions or our feelings control us. And it's about figuring out how to not let our feelings control our circumstances. So that's a lot of what I teach on, is that those kinds of success principles. There's a lot more that goes into it. I believe putting something in front of you, like having your goal written down and having it posted in front of you so you can see it daily, and having disciplines and actions and things to back it all up. But if we're not speaking right, about who we are, about what we want, about who we're becoming, and speaking truths and promises into our lives, then it's not going to happen. Then we do end up going down that spiral of feeling depression or just feeling like giving up, and that it is too late. We're too old. We're not good enough. We're not worthy. And those are the messages I want to break, because none of that is true. That's lies.
Very nice. Oh, I love all of that. I had to take notes. Sorry.
I love it.
I always do. I have to take notes. That is, yes. Everything you say, I back it up 100%. I mean, yes, the new age with we're going to speak it and it's going to happen. It's not totally correct. It's not totally accurate. There is some work that goes into it. If you think you're just going to speak it and sit on the couch, no.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't manifest it while you're sitting there on the couch and eating potato chips and watching your favorite show. That's not happening. Mm-mm.
That's the manifesting part is the action. It's actually,
Absolutely.
yeah, you
And
taking
you
that.
speaking it gives you the confidence to go out and do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I totally agree. That's beautiful. And the thing that strikes me as it being so necessary, Gabe, is this. When you get into your, like, we talked about your 40s, your 50s, you've got a family, you've done some things, and you're thinking, uh, is it your belief starts here when you're a kid, and it keeps going down and down and down. And can you imagine by the time you're 40 or 50 where it's at? So and then
Mhm.
you've got all the environmental things that suck it out of you. And so having someone to coach with like yourself, who's there to say, all right, let me plug all these holes back up that you have, where things have been sucked out or ideas have been put in your mind, let me get those back out where it's not actually true. I think that's vitally important.
Mhm.
I think it's
Yep.
vitally important. And I want my audience to hear that, because, I think if we try, I, I'll give you a perfect example, Gabe. I'm an empowerment coach, right?
Yeah.
I can, sometimes it is difficult for me to empower me.
Right. Absolutely.
I need a coach
Mm.
to empower me, and I'm an empowerment coach.
Yep. We all need coaches. A coach needs
Yes,
a coach because we're always growing. We're never, otherwise, we are stagnant and we die. We
that's
are
right.
going to always be growing, and we need somebody pushing us, speaking truth into us, things that we can't see about ourselves, but
That
that are there. So
that's
they
right.
can push us to the next level because, our friends and family are going to tell us things. They love us. They support us. They're going to really encourage us, but they may not tell us the truths we need to move on.
Yep. Absolutely. You know, when my coach said to me, she said this about a month ago to me about a program that I was launching. She said, "You don't see your value in this program." And I said to her, Gabe, I said, "I'm an empowerment coach. How can I not see my value?" She said, "That doesn't mean anything." She
Right?
fired right back. She was like, "That doesn't mean anything. You don't see it. I
Right.
can see what you can't see."
Yep.
And so that's why it's so essential what you're doing with the success principles, because we especially we as women, we do so many different things. We just need that. We need a coach that is going to be able to put that back into us and empower us and get our mindset right, so that we can see the things we want to accomplish, we can.
Right. Yep, exactly. And when I qualified for the Boston Marathon the second time in 2018, I hired a coach, a run coach. I'm a run coach, but
Yeah,
I knew that I needed someone else pushing me. I needed that accountability. And he pushed me harder than I would have pushed myself. I would have maybe been like, today's not a great day, so I'm just not going to do the workout that I had planned. But when I had that plan from him, it forced me to get out there and forget about my feelings and just go and do it. And he pushed my potential, and he helped me realize that I had more to give than I knew I had. And I could be faster than I knew, because actually, so I gained 12 minutes, or I subtracted 12 minutes from my marathon time, from my best
wow.
marathon time to that time. 12 minutes is a lot. It's like 30 seconds per mile. And I didn't know I had that much more to give. I now still think I have more to give because he pushed that out of me and helped me believe more in myself. And so even as a run coach, when I'm working towards something, a huge goal, something that's a little bit bigger than myself, or that I maybe don't completely believe I can do, I need that push.
Absolutely. And it's amazing what you will do when someone else is coaching you versus if you had to do it on your own.
Right? It's accountability.
Yes. Yes. When you said when I'm holding myself accountable, uh, I'll say, "Oh, maybe I won't do it today."
Right?
But
Yeah. We'll let our feelings get the best of us.
yeah, Yeah. So true. I love that. I love that. Oh, wow. Nice. Um, Gabe, we're going to take a quick break right here and we'll be right back. I want to talk to you about some of the other principles in your business. Okay.
Sure. Sounds good.
Have you been dying to share your voice in a bigger way to make even greater impact, but whatever reason, you're holding yourself back? No surprise there. I know many women who are experiencing the same thing, but now is the time to change. If not now, when? Hey, Kimberly Wiggins here with Inspired Women Amazing Lives. Now is the time for you to decide to take action. Right now. Listen, podcasting for women has grown and is life-changing. It is so much better when we as women share our stories and engage with each other about our experiences and our transformations. Because we get it. It's about you sharing your heart to impact others and grow your business so you can help other women reach their goals. Check out my Podcasting Made Easy program right now at inspiredwomenamazinglives.com. Let's shift things for your life and business so that you can create more amazing content that impacts your clients. Remember to use the code POD, P-O-D, for 50% off Podcasting Made Easy. Okay, so we are back, and Gabe, you are an avid runner.
Yes.
Have you always been?
It's actually a funny story. I used to hate running. When I was in high school, I just laughed at the people who ran for fun. I'm like, why? Where are you running to? There's nowhere you're running. There's no point. I was a basketball player. And I loved the running of that because there was a point. I was going from basket to basket trying to catch my opponents, all those things that go along with basketball. But the thought of running, not so much. When I went to college, I didn't continue my basketball career in college. I did intramurals, so I did a lot of intramural sports just to stay active. But that's when I took up running because I just wanted something. I was actually determined not to gain the freshman 15 that they call. And so that's kind of why I did it, to be true and honest. But when I started running, I started realizing it really was kind of a peaceful time for me. It was a time of reflection. I could get out, be in the sun, get my vitamin D, throw on some music, or now I throw on podcasts all the time. I love listening to podcasts while I run, or audiobooks. And it's just me time. It's me and my quiet solitude.
Yeah. That's I'm not as avid a runner as you are, but that's what I love about it as well. Yeah. So how did you connect the principles between the physical training and the success principles? How did you connect that?
It was a little process. And as I kind of had that big goal of, I want to run the Boston Marathon, which I didn't even really know what that meant. I didn't know how to qualify or what it meant, but really when you qualify for the Boston, it depends on your age and your gender, and you have to have a specific time based off of that. And it's a tough time, and you have to run a qualifying race, a race that is supportive of that Boston Marathon qualifying time. And so as I started running, actually my first marathon, I ran to run it. I ran it to finish. I finished. I was happy, proud. And then the second time around, I didn't do anything different. I just trained the same way I trained with the thought of, I'd love to qualify for the Boston Marathon. This could be cool. And I ended up finishing in about the same amount of time as I did my first marathon. So nothing looked different. And it's because I didn't do anything different. So then I thought, well, I still want to do it. So my third time, my second time trying to qualify, my third marathon, I hired a trainer and I was training, and essentially it was good. It was helpful because he pushed me to another level and I started training differently. and realizing I got to incorporate speed training and hill training and different things that I wasn't doing, not just run the same pace the whole time and expect the same results. And so that time I got faster. I think I hit 16 minutes faster than my best time. So quite an accomplishment, but I still had about 21 minutes to go. So, I mean, it was 42 minutes that I had to cut from my first marathon to qualifying for the Boston.
Wow.
So in most people's eyes, that seems impossible.
Right.
It's impossible. Who could do that? I mean, you just gave it your all and you came 42 minutes short. So that's after the third marathon, the second time I tried, I realized I needed to do something different. So I had finished and upped my physical game, and I realized that worked. But then there was something missing, and what was missing was that mental side. I didn't completely believe in myself. I could talk myself out of working hard, or when I hit the wall, the runners call it the wall, and that's when it's kind of a breaking point. And usually that happens between mile 18 and 22 in a marathon, and you almost physically can't keep going. And not everyone hits it, but it's there, and all runners know it could come. A lot of that comes from like glycogen levels and fueling and things like that, but it's real, it happens. And so what to do, how to get past that wall. And that's where that mental side has to kick in. And so the physical training helps with that, but we have to mentally be ready, and we have to be able to talk ourselves through those difficult moments, just like we have to talk ourselves through our difficult circumstances in life. And so that's kind of where I intersected that mental training, and I worked really hard to change what I said, to speak my goals and what I wanted, adding in different mantras. So, okay, if I'm starting to feel that way, I'm going to speak this out loud. So people probably thought I was funny because you can hear me in races. I talk out loud to myself, and I tell myself I'm awesome and that I can do it and that I'm worthy and all these things. But I think, well, you know what? At least I'm helping other runners. They are probably thinking negative too. So this is helping them at the same time. So I may look crazy and sound crazy, but I do it. And that's where that physical and mental intertwine.
Wow. That is nice. Yes. Wow. Yes. I'm going to remember that when I'm trying to run just that little 10K.
Oh. So that little mantra, just come up with something that'll motivate you to, yep, I got to keep going.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So now you have a coaching program. Tell us what that's about.
Yeah, it's called Take Your Dreams to the Finish Line, and it's a group coaching program. So it actually has a self-paced course in there, and I call it a 12-week program, because the goal of after that 12 weeks is that you have a small win toward your dream. Because sometimes our dreams manifest, our dreams take time. They don't happen overnight, especially if it's a big dream. So and that's why goals and dreams are a little bit different. Goals are kind of something smaller that work toward your dream. I call them stepping stone goals because they're stepping stones toward your dream. And I think we need both. We need an overlying vision for our life, or an overlying dream that we're working toward. But if we're only working toward that and we don't have the goals in between, we are going to quit, because it's going to feel like we aren't making progress. We aren't seeing the results. But if we add those little goals in and we see the result there, then, okay, I can keep going to the next goal. And that's where you see the progress, and that's the results that you see. So really my goal in the program is that you hit that first goal, and you've learned how to do that and how to use these mental training principles and the success principles, and through guided activities, through coaching. I do Q&A coaching calls once a month with my group, and just really guiding them and helping them to see that they can take a dream and make a plan around it. Our plans don't always stay the same. We have to try, fail, adjust, and do it all over again. And sometimes we have to pivot and change and be flexible, but you got to have a plan in place in order to make things happen, to know what action to take.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. That's great. I love that program. And what better way to do it, I think, in a group than in a group, so that you have the support of the others around you. So I love that.
Yep.
So here's something that you wrote to me. You mentioned something about kids, and I love this. You said we
Mhm.
can talk about overcoming obstacles, breaking down walls, overcoming fears. I'm very passionate about how our kids don't do what we say. They mimic what we do.
Mhm.
And we need to win for them so they can see what it means to succeed, and we can be their best role models so they don't have to look somewhere else. Wow. I think that in itself was just very, very powerful. It really was. When
Yeah.
I read that, I was like, wow. Um, so what's your catalyst? I mean, behind that statement, you know, what was it? What was the thought when you think about this? This is a part of, to me, it's a part of your stand in your
Yeah.
messages.
It's a lot of my message. My message, especially to moms, is that our kids need to see us win. Because, like I said in the beginning, well, when I got married and we had a child pretty close, I mean, I was pregnant the year after. I didn't know it was going to be so fast. And my dreams quickly went on the shelf, and there they sat. Now, my dreams evolved and changed when I took them off. It wasn't the same dream, but it was similar because the passions were the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I put them up there because I thought, okay, now I have to take care of my kids. And what I've realized through my journey, and part of the Boston, so when I qualified for the Boston Marathon, I brought my kids along with me. They made posters for me that I hung up on my wall so I could see them every day. We talked about it and how cool it'll be to see a victory. And so they never fought me when I went to do my training runs. Now, I worked really hard to make sure that those runs happened and didn't take too much time of family time. But at the same time, they knew that I needed to go and do that for me. But I also brought them along so they could see the journey of taking a goal from start to finish. And honestly, they were more excited about it. I mean, I was probably more excited, but they were just as excited when I crossed that finish line, knowing that I had won something. But really what that taught me is we need to be our kids' best role models. We lead by example. And if I'm not willing to go after a dream or a goal, then I can't expect them to. And if I'm not doing it for them, then who's going to teach them how to do it? And the other thing that goes along with that is that same thing when we get into adulthood, our dreams start fading
Mm-hmm.
because we now have to adult. I don't ever want my kids to think when I grow up and when I become an adult, I no longer can have my dreams, so I got to dream now. No, I
Right.
want them dreaming now, and I want them
Right.
to continue to dream and know how to do that while they have a family, while they have their role of whatever career they're in, or while
Mm-hmm.
they are growing and changing. I want them to know and be passionate about their dreams and the callings that they have on their hearts. And the only way for them to know how to do that is for us to model it for them and to really take them on the journey with us. And that's why I'm super passionate about moms winning for their kids, and not just
Nice.
being a mom is hard. You know,
Mhm.
I don't like it when people say I'm just a stay-at-home mom. Oh my goodness,
No,
I've done that.
gosh.
It
Yeah.
is hard. It is
Yeah.
hard and super unrewarding in the physical, because
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
get the gratitude or you don't get the accolades for it, but you are doing the work. And so, but I think we also need something for ourselves, something that makes us passionate, that drives us, because when those kids are gone, then what do we have? It's the same thing with marriage. If we're not working hard with our marriage and putting our husbands first before our kids sometimes, then when the kids leave, then what do we have? And it's the same thing with our goals and dreams. What do we have?
I agree. Ooh, that was awesome. You said so many great things in there. Um, it irks, and I don't want to say this and people take it the wrong way,
Mhm.
but it irks me so much when children look to these actors and actresses and star athletes on TV as their role models. That really irks me. Really, it does. And the reason why is because, and I guess because I'm a little old fashioned, I didn't grow up that way. My mom was my superwoman,
Mhm.
you know. She was my best role model. She had flaws, yep, just like any other woman, but it was very realistic. She was so wise, and she passed down all that wisdom to us. And to me, she was my greatest role model. So I get a little, I had a conversation with a woman the other day. She asked a question. She said, what do you think about when you think of an Amazonian woman? And I said, that's real great for fantasy, but it's not too good for real life. I said, we're not Amazonian women, nor can we become that.
Right.
There's a lot of things we can do, but to set the bar that high, let's be more realistic and be about the things that we can do. That's a great fantasy story. And one of the other ladies were like, well, I love Wonder Woman. That's my idol. I was thinking to myself, what? Because who can do what Wonder Woman can do?
Right.
So it's like, oh my gosh. So I really, I that irks me a little bit when and now that I heard an adult say that, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's what I want for you, Gabe. I want your kids to look at you and say, my mom is pretty amazing.
Right. They think you're Wonder Woman. That's what.
Yes.
You may not be, but they think it.
Yes. So it's not, I don't want them looking at you and saying Wonder Woman is pretty amazing. And my mom is like, so yeah, I love that message. Because they see us when they really say, my grandson says, you're the best Nana ever.
Yeah. There's nothing better.
Nothing better. And they see us win. I mean, they see us win. And that's what really, I love that. Love that. I will definitely put that in the show notes. Nice. Yeah. Now you have a book, Mind Over Marathon. I can't wait to get this book. I'm going to have to read it while I'm training here. Overcoming mental barriers in the race of life.
Yep. So I say running is optional. You don't have to run to love the book, because the book is really, it's my running analogies inserted into life. Because the reason I run is because it teaches me how to do hard things, and it teaches me how to be more disciplined in every area of my life. So that's what running does for me. And I'm hoping that's what this book will do for others, that it'll help spark a dream. And it's essentially about taking that dream from inception to a flourishing finish, about eliminating those lies about who you are and building that belief in the fact that you can do it, that you're worthy and it's your time. And so that's what Mind Over Marathon is all about. And it kind of talks about my journey to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And I take you along that journey, along with all the success principles and mental training that we can implement in our everyday lives and how to do that. So there's little applications at the end of each chapter, along with a little faith devotional and reflection questions. So super hands-on, super applicable, and things that you can implement right away.
I love that. And I love that you say you don't have to be a runner.
Nope.
Yeah. Every avid runner that I know, and I have a couple of friends who are, they always say that you don't see how much your mind is stretched until you push yourself to do something like that. But it's not the running, it's the hard thing. You said it.
Yeah, it's the hard things. It's doing the hard things, disciplining your body when you don't want to. I mean, one of my mantras is I beat my body and make it my slave. That's what I choose to do.
Wow.
No matter what my body wants to do, I'm going to tell it what to do.
Yeah, I love that mantra. Ooh. I may need it. I'm going back into the gym there, Gabe, in about 2 weeks.
All right.
I may need that mantra.
It's a good one.
Yes.
All about disciplining our flesh.
Yes, I may need that mantra, because I've been out of the gym. I did weightlifting about 3 times a week before. So I was active like 6 days out of the week. And then I just stopped about 2 years ago. So I'm
Okay.
going back in. I
Yeah.
stopped by there yesterday and they were like, you really took a sabbatical, didn't you? I said, yeah, I did. But I'm going back. And, and I'm not, a lot of people do it for a lot of different reasons. I'm doing it for health reasons because
Yep.
I want my muscle structure as I get older to support my bones and my frame and everything so I don't get frail.
Yep. Exactly.
And so, yeah, I love that. It's doing the hard things, and everybody's hard thing looks different.
Exactly. And that's one of my other things I say is you need to run your race because your race looks different. Everyone's race is different. Everyone's going after something different.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's life looks different. So it's all about you. And that's what I love about running too, is that when you're in a race, you're racing against yourself. There's no one else. I mean, if you're not an elite, you're not in a competition, you're not running against anyone else. You're running against your own time, against your own mind, against your own physical capabilities. And so that's what we have to think about when we think about life. We are running our own race and we just have to do it to our best ability.
Yeah. Stop looking around at everybody else, trying to figure out what everybody else are doing. Yeah. Yeah. And comparing yourself. Yeah. I love that. And you have a podcast, Red Hot Mindset.
Yeah, it's not official yet, but it will be launching. It launches March, April timeframe, and I'm getting it all set up. Red Hot Mindset. The goal of it is essentially I want to help you walk into the fire, become refined so you can come out stronger. So my goal is to really talk about those dreams, how to develop them, go after them. I'm going to have interviews with others who have gone through a struggle victory story or had a dream come true, and really talk and mainly meaning ordinary people who choose to do extraordinary things, because we all are ordinary people. We all come from the same place, and just realizing if they can do it, I can do it too. That's how I want to empower people to see that.
Yes. I have to comment on that point. We are all ordinary people. A lot of times people don't think that.
Yeah.
That they'll say, well, like Michael Jordan was a phenom. Yes, he was. I will say that. But that didn't stop him from practicing.
Right. He wouldn't have been if he didn't.
That's right. You could take an extraordinary person and have them sit on the couch and they're just ordinary.
Yep.
So it's like you've got to be able to recognize that we're all just ordinary people. It's the things you do with this ordinary mind and this ordinary body that brings you to the level of extraordinary. So
yes, it's all our choice. Exactly.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Now, you can find Gabe at redhotmindset.com, just like it sounds like. And I will put all of this on the podcast page, as well as she is on Facebook. She has a Facebook group, Mind Over Marathon. Love it. And she's on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Pinterest. I will put those links on in the show notes on the podcast page. The fun fact about you, Gabe, is that you were an Olympic style weightlifter in high school and college. Wow.
I was. It was interesting. It was a fun experience. I only did one competition, but I was standing at about 110 pounds doing the clean and jerk and the snatch and all those crazy things, throwing the right over your head. And but it was so fun. I really enjoyed it. But and it kind of, that and running didn't go very well together. So I eventually stopped the Olympic training because that's muscle and building and power, where running doesn't really feed into that so much. But it was such a fun little journey. But a lot of people don't know that about me because it was kind of a side thing that I did.
That's nice. That's really nice. Wow. 110 pounds. Ooh.
little thing.
Yes. Wow. And one of your favorite books, you said, was What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. I love that book.
Have you read it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
it just gives you a lot of, I need to pick that. I asked that question because it makes me go back. Most of the time people are reading, one of their favorite books is like a throwback book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so this book, I may need to pick it up again and read through it. This is one of those books you can read time and time again.
Absolutely. I've read it many times. And actually, that was the first personal development book I read outside of college. And that's the first book that helped change my mindset and help me dive out, dig my way out of that depression. And eventually, like I said, I got off those medications. And a lot of it came from that help. Now, I'm not going to say that book was my lifesaver, but it helped me change my thoughts and change how I thought about things and my mindset. So it's powerful if you actually do the principles.
Yes, it is very, very powerful. And the thing I like about that book, Gabe, is that it's, how sometimes some of the new age writers, I'm gonna call them new age.
Yep.
They make a simple thing very complex.
Yes.
That book is very simple.
Super simple.
Anybody,
my kids, I've read it to my kids.
Yes. It is super simple. It's the things we say about ourselves, and they break it down very simple. The principles are simple, very easy to follow. That is a great book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love it. Now, Gabe, this was so much fun. You blessed me with so much information. I say every time I do these, I get more out of it. I don't know if my audience does. They should, because I get a ton out of it. But we're about to wrap up, and it was great having you here. Before we leave, if you could give my audience one action tip that they could take away and use today, what would that be?
Absolutely. I've had a great time, Kimberly. Thank you so much for having me. Mm-hmm. I would say here's my tip. The one thing I want your audience to do, I want you guys who are listening, is to create a mantra for your life. So come up with something small, something you can say, like we talked about, whenever life gets hard, whenever you feel like quitting or giving up on yourself, because, you don't lose unless you quit. You don't lose. You just got to keep going. And so say it out loud whenever you're feeling stuck or frustrated or just emotionally drained, or you don't want to do what you know you need to do. Life gets the best of you. One of my favorites is, I am worthy and it's my time. That's essentially my life mantra. I am worthy and it's my time, because each of you are worthy. And it's our time whenever we decide it's our time.
Love it. Yes. And share that tip, audience, with a friend. If you're already doing it, or if you're gonna do it, that was an amazing tip that Gabe just gave you. Share it with a friend. When you were saying that, I thought, what's a mantra that people use a lot and they don't realize it? I'm tired.
Yep.
I'm tired. And I thought about that because I just spoke to my daughter earlier before this interview, and that's one of the first things she said. I'm just tired. And in my mind, I wanted to say, don't say that, because you're making yourself tireder.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell her to create a mantra for herself when she's feeling tired.
I like it.
That way, instead of her first thought being, I'm tired, she can say that mantra and turn that whole thing around. That's why I said, share this with a friend if you know of someone. That's really nice. Thank you, Gabe. I appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, audience, for being here. I hope you got as much out of this as I did. And definitely share this episode with someone who needs it. There was a lot of good information in here today. And I'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Inspired Women Amazing Lives podcast, where we help women to be truly inspired to live their most amazing lives. Please subscribe to the podcast to be notified of new content each and every week. Like, comment, and share these episodes with a woman who inspires you most, or someone you would like to inspire. See you on the next episode.